In the last video, we went over what compound interest was. Now in this video, I want to explain something amazing. Before I blow your mind, let's review what we learned from compound interest. We know that compound interest is interest earned from not only the principal, but also the previous interest reinvested into the principal. So every time you get paid interest, you reinvest it back into the principal, and that dollar amount becomes a new principal. So if you have $100 and you invested at 10% interest compounded annually, 1 year from now you will have $110. You get your principal $100 plus the 10% interest on the principal, which is $10. You reinvested the $10 back, so your new principal is $110. Another year goes by and you now have $121. You get your new principal $110 plus 10% interest, which is $11. We also learned how long it will take to double your money using the rule of 72. You just take 72 and divide it by your interest. 72 divided by 10 would be 7.2. So it would take 7.2 years to double your money with 10% interest. Now that we are caught up, let's explore something new. Let's say you need to borrow $1. So you go to your friend, who just so happens to be a banker, and ask if you can borrow $1. Your friend will only lend you money if you pay him interest. Your friend gives you several different options. Option 1, you can pay him back in 1 year for 100% interest. Wow, 100% interest sounds like a lot. Option 2, you can pay him back 6 months from now for only 50% interest. However, if you can't pay him 6 months from now, he is going to compound the interest, so you owe him 50% interest on the principal plus the interest for the last 6 months. Option 3, you can pay him 1 month from now for only 8.3% interest. However, for every month you don't pay him back, the interest compounds. Option 4, you can pay him 1 week from now for 1.9% interest. However, for each week you don't pay him back, the interest compounds. Last but not least, option 5. You can pay him 1 day from now for 0.274 interest. However, just like the previous options, for every day you don't pay him back, the interest compounds. Now, which option are you going to choose? Well, the obvious choice would be option 5 because it has the lowest interest rate. However, let's say for this example you can't pay him back for a year. Are you still going to pick option 5? Let's for a moment walk through the math for each option on how you will owe your friend if the soonest you will be able to pay him would be 1 year. So option 1, 100% interest for 1 year. So a year from now you would owe your friend $2. It's essentially the $1 he lent you plus the 100% interest. So it'd be the principal plus the interest, or $1 plus $1, which is the same thing as saying $1 times 2. Since we borrowed $1, we still owe him 100% of the principal back plus 100% interest. Since 100% equals 1, 200% equals 2. If he only charged you 10% interest, then you would multiply your $1 by 1.1, or 100% of your principal plus 10% interest. So at the end of the 1 year, you would owe your friend $2 with option 1. Now let's look at option 2. 6 months from now, you get charged 50% interest on the dollar you borrowed. You owe the principal $1 plus 50% interest, which is 50 cents. So now the total amount of money we owe is $1.50. After 6 more months, we get charged another 50% to the new principal of $1.50 since it's compounding. So you owe the $1.50 plus 50% interest, which is 75 cents. Another way of looking at it is we owe $1 times 150% times another 150%, or 1 times 1.5 times 1.5, which also looks like 1 times 1.5 squared. Or we could say you owe 1 times 1 plus 100% divided by 2 squared, which is also 1 divided by 2 because 100% is actually 1. Because we owe 100% of the principal plus 50% interest compounded twice. So after 1 year, you will owe $2.25. Now option 3. After 1 month, we get charged 8.3% compounded interest. So now you have to take your $1 and times it by 1.083 because you still owe 100% of your principal plus 8.3% interest. That comes out to approximately 8 cents in interest. So now we owe our friend $1.08. After 2 months, you get charged another 8.38% interest. Now we need to take your balance or the new principal, $1.08, and times it by 1.083. Now we owe roughly $1.17. Now after 12 months, we owe 1 times 1.083 to the 12th power, which is 1 times 100% of the principal plus 8.3% interest compounded 12 times. We could also say we owe 1 times 1 plus 1 divided by 12 to the 12th power. If you multiplied both of them out, you would get approximately 2.6034. With option 3, you would owe your friend about $2.60. Let's look at option 4. After 1 week, we get charged 1.9% compounded interest. So we owe 1 times 1 plus 0.019. $1 times 100% of the principal plus 1.9% interest. At the end of the week, you owe your friend $1.01 approximately. Now at the end of 1 year, we would owe your friend 1 times 1 plus 0.019 to the 52nd power. So that's $1 times 100% of the principal plus 1.9% interest compounded 52 times. We are compounding it 52 times because our interest is being compounded every week and there are 52 weeks in a year. Now you owe your friend roughly $2.66. Finally, let's look at the last option. If we borrowed $1 today, you would owe your friend $1 times 1 plus 0.00274. That's $1 times 100% of the principal plus 0.274% interest for a total of approximately $1.00274. So basically $1. However, after 1 year, you owe your friend $1 times 1 plus 0.00274 to the 365th power. So that's $1 times 100% of the principal plus 0.274% interest compounded 365 times. Another way of looking at it is $1 times 1 plus 1 divided by 365 raised to the 365th power. The total amount of money you owe your friend is $2.71. As you can see, even though option 5 has the smallest interest, because it is compounded more times than any of the other options, it ends up having the higher amount after 1 year. Maybe you've noticed that the amount you owed after 1 year for each option does not increase at the same rate. Option 2 increased by 0.25 from option 1. Option 3 increased by 0.33 from option 2. Option 4 only increased by 0.06 from option 3, and option 5 only increased by 0.05 from option 4. It seems to be approaching some number, which is the case. Each option, or each time we increase how often something is compounded, the number we get becomes closer and closer to the number E. If we put E in a calculator, it would equal approximately 2.7828 with a long string of random numbers after it, continuing infinitely. Now that we have somewhat identified the number E, in the next episode I will go over how we use it. If you found this episode helpful, please give it the thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you feel inclined, please like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and if you really want to, subscribe to Gennecho's weekly newsletter. We will give you all sorts of advice, tips, and strategies to all things finance and investing. Just click the link below and enter your name and email in the form provided. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.